27, but they didn't beat the 42nd clock before the snap, so they have to do it again. Looks like a gimme from 32, but watch what happens. Roger Duffy is the snapper in this situation. Look at Louis Aguiar. He's looking down, doesn't know it's coming. Boom, right off the helmet.
This is incredible. A guy could do that. The center has got to wait till he gets the ready snap call from the holder. This is going to make Bruce old. And the other thing is, Bruce was trying to call for a timeout. He saw that they didn't have time to kick the field goal on the first play. He didn't get the timeout. They got to delay a game. That takes 3 points off the board. That 3-point could hurt him, really.
Let's take a look at some of the halftime statistics. Coors Light bringing us these numbers. Look at the total yards, and even that is misleading because 50 of the 90 for the Redskins came on one play, the halfback option from Mitchell to Ricky Sanders. Essentially, the Jets have controlled the game. Look at, they've had the ball more than 2/3 of the time, 20 minutes.
It's unbelievable, really. And this is the kind of game that really scares you, Bob, because the Jets have done everything except put points on the board. And if you don't put points on the board, you're not going to win these football games. The Redskins are one play away from going ahead in a football game. And I think the Jets have got to put some points up there. If they don't, they're going to get into a big problem.
The Jets will have it to start the half. Anthony Pryor juggles it near the goal line and only gets to about the 10-yard line before he's cut down by Johnny Thomas. Look at the trend for the Jets offensively. Their defense has tightened up over the last 6 games. Some of that is their excellent play, some of it attributable to the quality of the opposition. So they've been able to get away with a sputtering offense, at least until last week when they lost the game 9-6 to the Colts. But that's kind of a precipitous decline.
It's unbelievable. And also, the Jets are going to have to look at their special teams if they don't win this football game today. They've made some very poor decisions in the special team area.
Esiason will throw on the first play from scrimmage in the second half, and he'll complete it to Chris Burkett. And Burkett, trying to lunge forward, has the ball come out, but apparently the whistle had blown.
Now, first of all, this is a complete break of the tradition of what the Jets have done for the whole first half. They have run the ball almost exclusively on first down. They come back with a drop-back pass, a simple hook pattern or turn-in pattern at about 12 yards, and they get the first down. And they're going to have, well, they don't get the first down. They're close to the first down, I should say.
Short by less than a yard. And Johnny Johnson might not have gotten it.
This is a great scrape-off by Gouveia. A great scrape-off, and when I mean that, the tackle will take an inside charge, and Gouveia scrapes outside, and watch what happens here. You'll see man come inside. Now watch Gouveia come around the corner here. Bang! Bang! That's a good hit. This guy's a good football player. I like to watch guys play like him. He's one of these guys should play in the mud all the time, have a dirty uniform, a little blood on his face, maybe some snot.
Maybe some what?
Snot.
Uh-huh.
Snot's part of football.
I guess it is. It's part of life, isn't it? You know, I was shocked just the other day to see you swigging Perrier and Evian water because you cannot drink tap water this weekend in Washington.
It's unbelievable.
So a parasite in the water supply, so the self-proclaimed Grabowski Ditka.
Well, I tell you what,
beverage.
the water didn't even smell good when you took a shower in it for some reason.
They need literally inches, and that's about all they got, but it should be enough for the first down with Baxter carrying. Brad Edwards and Jason Buck were in on the stop.
They give him the first down? Gave him the first down.
Along with the Gatorade, bottled water on the sidelines. They've just lifted the ban on tap water on drinking tap water in the D.C. area. Just lifted it today, as a matter of fact. Last
Again,
48 hours or so, though.
Well, I'm glad we're leaving town because I was getting tired of the bottled water anyway.
Baxter carried on first down, got about 4. I understand the ice was brought in from Baltimore.
Oh, we have better ice in Chicago than we got in Baltimore.
It's a longer trip, though. On the 25, opening moments in the third quarter, Jets lead it 3-0. Esiason to Johnny Johnson, a gain of only a yard. Sterling Palmer made the tackle for the Redskins.
Take a look at what they're doing here. Watch them shift here. Watch what happens here. They got everything, and they're bringing Gouvet. They're coming into a blitz mode again. And if they're going to keep trying to run the ball, that is the Jets, they're going to try to go ahead and get that many people up near the line of scrimmage, at least 8 of them. That was kind of what we call an overstacked defense.
Blair Thomas is in the Jet backfield on 3rd and 5. Esiason, well protected, completes the pass to Rob Moore, who's had a big game. And Moore has first down yardage for the Jets. That's his 6th catch of the afternoon.
I tell you, this is a great job by Boomer Esiason again in waiting for somebody to come open, because what's happening, Bob, the primary receivers are not there. He's got to come to the underneath man, and it's just a crossing route by Moore underneath the linebackers, and luckily he gets the first down on this. But it's a great job by Boomer hanging in there, because he's taken a couple pretty hard hits.
Exactly 11 minutes to play in the third quarter. First down from the 33, leading 3-0. Esiason again, a wobbly throw, batted up in the air and intercepted. And Brad Edwards off the deflection picks it off for the Redskins. There's a flag on the play. In fact, there are 3 flags. The field is strewn with flags.
Well, the one is a holding play against Marty Coleman. There's no question against Andre Collins. Definitely a hold on the Jets. I don't know what the other one is.
And neither does anyone else until Dick Hantak takes to the mic. The line of scrimmage was the 33.
We have offsetting fouls. We have holding. Offense, number 75. We have defensive pass interference, number 27. Penalties are all set. Replay the down. First down.
You're talking. Well, here's the holding on Collins. There's no question about it. This is just an out-and-out tackle. And that's a good tackle. Heck, that guy ought to play defense also. Now, we don't see the other penalty downfield. Evidently, Brad Edwards interfered with one of the receivers downfield.
Well, Edwards wasn't anywhere near it. The throw was over his head, and then when he turned around after Alvoid Mays made the hit, he came up with a loose football. In any case, the call's offset. The holding on Malamala of the Jets. So it's first down again, and Johnson carries for a gain of about 2 to the 35. Danny Copeland and Tim Johnson on the stop.
Look what happens. You're really getting into a blitz mode now, and they're going to keep coming after the Jets on first down until they get into a situation where they start throwing the ball a lot more, but they're putting 8 men up almost every time now.
Boomer Esiason's longest completion to this point in the game is just 15 yards. Johnny Johnson hasn't caught one. Johnny Mitchell hasn't caught one. Moore has 6 receptions. Johnny Johnson to carry around left end and sprinting down the sideline. Huge gain for the Jets to the 40-yard line of the Redskins.
We've got an injury with one of the Redskins too, Bob, here. And here's the only problem with putting that many men up. And you put 8 men up like the Redskins are doing, if you do get outside and you break containment, you're going to go for a long gain. And right there was a great example of it.
A gain of 25 for Johnson, who's got a shot at a 100-yard day. And we'll step aside for a moment. Ice imported from Baltimore. Outside RFK. Jets with the ball at the Redskins' 40-yard line. A drive that began at the outset of the second half at their 11. So they had it for more than 5 minutes. They had it for over 20 minutes in the first half. Barely beating the clock. And the give is to Blair Thomas. Thomas's first carry of the day. You remember well the best game of Thomas's career. He had 125 yards in a Monday night game early in the 1991 season at Soldier Field against the Bears, but fumbled the ball in Jet territory late in the game when they were trying to run out the clock. That's the game where Harbaugh hit Neil Anderson as time expired on a 4th down play for a touchdown and tied the game. The Jets missed a short field goal in overtime, and you guys eventually won the game in OT 1913. Thomas hasn't had anything close to a 100-yard game since that in the last 2.5 years.
Well, he has been a big disappointment because coming out of Penn State, the guy had great numbers. I thought there's a crossing route again.
There's more, shedding a tackler. Great run after the catch. Down inside the 15-yard line on his 7th catch of the day. 22-yard catch and run.
Watch Moore coming underneath. All he does is find a hole underneath there in man-to-man coverage. And, of course, number 28 gets shut off. And Moore has a lot of room to work underneath and get a first down. And that's Darrell Green, number 28. And when he was shut off because of the release of the tight end, really blocked him from coming up and put a close coverage on Moore.
Ball spotted just outside the 12. Johnny Johnson takes it up the middle. Bangs down to nearly the 5-yard line. A gain of 7 before Johnson and Edwards stopped him.
This is what the Jets would like to do, Bob. This is their kind of football. I think right now, if Bruce Coslett, as unhappy as he was at the end of the first half, he's got to feel good about what he's seeing now. They're coming off the ball. They're running the ball effectively. And, of course, they're just taking what the defense gives them. They've hit that underneath route a couple times.
Johnny Johnson has 101 of those 146 rushing yards for New York. 2nd and 3 from the 5. He'll try it again and get about a yard.
This is the area of the field where it gets kind of tight right now, and you're seeing it all over the league, Bob. People have had a hard time getting the ball in the red zone this year. And, you know, it's hard to say exactly why everybody says people are playing zone defenses down there. I think people are just playing better defense. They understand what offenses do better, and they're doing a much better job of playing defense in the red zone, not only by design but by execution.
Seems like about a month since the Redskins had a play from scrimmage.
Well, the
first
time
half
of
ended on a
possession,
15-yard drive, or 15-play drive, rather, for the Jets. And they've had it since the outside of the 3rd quarter. Johnson. Very close to what would be a first down.
It's not going to be a first down, I don't think. And you got a big decision here by Bruce Coslett. You can take the 3 points, which is going to give you a 6-point lead. Or else, the way the Redskins have been playing offense, I'm not sure at this point I wouldn't go ahead and try to make the first down, because I don't think that their offense has been anything to talk about at all.
4th down, less than a yard. Brad Baxter behind Esiason. Play fake. Rolling left, throwing to the end zone for the touchdown. No, he dropped the ball.
Dropped it.
Fred Baxter, the reserve tight end, had 6 right in his mitts and let it drop. The last 30 plays from scrimmage in this game. End of the 2nd quarter, beginning of the 3rd, the Jets have had the ball.
Unbelievable.
Nothing to show for it. Zip.
He drops the ball, bounced on the ground. Now watch the reaction of the head coaches. First, Bruce Coslett. He goes absolutely bananas, which he should. Now watch Richie Pettibone. He's ecstatic, which he should be. This is like golf. Every shot makes somebody happy, either you or your opponent.
So now the Redskins with the ball at their own 3-yard line. And Reggie Brooks trying to give them a little breathing room. Gets maybe 3 before Piquel and Lageman stack him up. The Jets had the ball for 14 plays. They started at their own 11. They went 86 yards down to the 3. They had it for just shy of 9 minutes. The first 8:51 of the third quarter. Nothing.
Nothing to show for it. They've had the ball now for 30 minutes out of the 40 played, and they got nothing to show for it but 3 points.
Short drop by Gannon. He's hit as he throws, and the ball squirts free and drops. Incomplete.
I tell you, Marvin Washington's playing an outstanding game. He's put pressure on Gannon all day, and I'm not sure I understand fans. I really don't. I don't know what Gannon was supposed to do there. All he can do is he's trying to get the ball to the open receiver, and he has an open receiver, Reggie Brooks, but he can't get the ball to him if a guy's eating him up, in which Marvin was doing that on that play.
They need 7, or Reggie Roby is going to be punting from out of the end zone. They decide to keep it on the ground with Ernest Biner, and now they'll have to punt. Piquel on the stop.
How soon they forget. How soon they forget. The fans are having a good day booing here.
The Redskins opened the season beating the Cowboys here 35-16. The first of 2 games, of course, that the Cowboys played without Emmitt Smith. That means they get 5 touchdowns in week 1. They've had only 17 touchdowns in the last 11 and a half games, counting this one.
Well, I've seen a big change in the offense, Bob, but I think they do things a lot differently. They went to the 3 to 5 step drop, and the Redskins have been a big play offense, and they've made a lot of big plays.
Clifford Hicks got away from one guy, banged down by the second. 47-yard punt by Roby. Mark Stock on the tackle. Well, the Redskins' venerable owner is much in the news this week, as we mentioned on the pregame show. He says he'll deny the new Carolina franchise the opportunity to talk to Joe Gibbs, at least until they talk to him, and perhaps he's trying to extract something in the form of draft choices from them. Gibbs says, however, he's contractually free to talk to anybody he'd like, so we'll see how that situation is resolved as Brad Baxter carries for the Jets on first down. And then perhaps more importantly, Jack Kent Cooke announced plans just the other day to build a new stadium in Laurel, Maryland, near the racetrack there, roughly equidistant between downtown Washington, D.C. and downtown Baltimore.
Well, I tell you, I don't know how you can deny Joe the opportunity to talk to somebody, and I think that's his right. He's not under any obligation to the Washington Redskins. He gave him 12 great years. They parted in good company and good graces, and I think Joe ought to go on with his life, and I think Mr. Cooke ought to understand that.
2nd and 8 from the 44-yard line of the Jets. Still leading 3-0. They got a field goal on their first possession. Nothing since, although they've dominated the game. Next to nothing on that carry by Johnny Johnson, stopped by Al Noga. The new stadium would be built entirely with funds generated by Jack Kent Cooke. It would not be a publicly financed stadium.
And I think that's the way it's going to have to come down to being in the future, really. I mean, these guys right now, they're building the stadium for the purpose of making much more money than they're making at this facility. Evidently, that's the reason. And if that's the reason, then they ought to come up with the money. They shouldn't go to the state or the city governments and ask them for the money.
3rd down 7. And Esiason's pass incomplete, with Andre Collins applying the hit to prevent the completion, and the Jets will have to punt. So 3 and out this time. The last several times they've had it, they've embarked on long drives, all to no avail, but they've kept the ball for a long time.
Yeah, but they got one problem, Bob. They got 3 points on the scoreboard. Any play at all by the Redskins, they're in trouble.
piece of it, it appears. And the ball is down at the 45-yard line of the Redskins.
This is absolutely as bad as I've seen a team play on the special teams this year. They've made critical mistakes returning the football, kicking the football, snapping the football. There's more mistakes made today than you'd make in a normal season.
And Sterling Palmer got there. Got a pretty good-sized piece of the ball, reducing it to a 10-yard punt. Redskin ball at their 45.
Now, this guy here is supposed to be blocked by the center. He's going to come back this way. Exactly what he beats the center. The center is supposed to hold on to him there, but the man who is in the fullback position should hold the center first.
Gannon's pass incomplete in the vicinity of Ron Middleton, the tight end, and under pressure as he threw. It was Steve Diassi who snapped the ball and then missed the block on Palmer, allowing him to come through and get the near block.
Well, Diassi is an excellent snapper. I mean, he's done that job for the Giants for years. He's now with the Jets. He's an excellent snapper, but he just missed the block. And I'm sure part of it is that he might not be used to the punt protection scheme of the Jets.
Inside 3 minutes to play in the third quarter. It's still a 3-0 game with the Jets in front. Second and 10 from the 45. Gannon, a shovel pass ahead, the ball loose, incomplete pass.
Bob, I have never, in all the years that I can remember, have watched the Redskins play this ineptly on offense. I mean, they look to me, and I hate to say this, that they don't have a clue to what they're trying to do. I mean, they're picking plays out of the hat. You've got to establish something. Evidently, they can't run the football, but then you should at least have a short passing game. But I'll say this, the quarterback doesn't have any time to throw the football. None at all.
Whose fault is this?
Well, you say you changed the offense a little bit, but this is a 3 to 5 step drop. You should be able to get rid of the ball.
He has time on this occasion.
And he gets it to a receiver.
Complete to Desmond Howard. Desmond Howard to the 41 of New York for a first down.
Now, I tell you what I saw there. He was ready to put the ball down and run with it, but he saw Desmond come open at the last second. And, of course, Gannon got the ball to him. It's just a turn-in route. There's nothing fancy about the route. He runs a good outside move, turns back to the inside. And actually, the quarterback threw the ball where it should be. Desmond started working back toward the linebacker. It's really a good job by Gannon. But it's a good job by the offensive line. They gave him time to throw the football.
So first down at the 41. Reggie Brooks.
Watch out.
Much of a
Watch
day.
out.
Spins away. But eventually James Hasty tracks him down. Reggie Brooks, who came in averaging just under 5 yards a carry, 4.9. The 2 longest runs from scrimmage in the league this year, 85 against Philadelphia, 78 last week against Tampa Bay, both touchdown runs. 873 yards for the year, almost certainly barring injury, on pace for 1,000. 0 today, 0 net on 5 rushes.
You know, Pete Carroll talked about this defense yesterday, and he said it wasn't a dominating defense. But it looks awfully dominating to me right now.
They need 11. Gannon throws for much more than that. And incomplete. In the vicinity of Tim McGee. Well covered and no chance.
You know, you got to keep it on the playing field. That's the only thing you ask the quarterback to do is keep it on the playing field. Gannon got that about 7 yards outside the playing field, so it wouldn't have mattered if the receiver would have caught the ball or not. It wouldn't have went for anything.
Gannon had his moments against you, against the Bears as a member of the Vikings, right?
We really had great respect for Rich Gannon, and I still do. I think he gave us fits because he's a quarterback. He can not only throw the football, but he can run with the football, and he has great speed. And when you don't spy him in a man situation, he can really hurt you.
Minute 17 to play in the third and 11. Off the hands of the intended receiver, Tim McGee.
Well, that's a good throw.
On the coverage.
That's a good throw. I mean, I don't know who they're booing, the receiver, the quarterback, or the play, but it's a good throw. The ball should be caught. That's why these guys are out there. They get paid a lot of money to catch the football. Gannon did his job.
I don't think they're booing any specifics. I think they're booing 3-9 for a team that 2 years ago won the Super Bowl, for a team that was in the Super Bowl 4 times in the space of a decade. Roby gets the kick away. There's some contact as Hicks lets it bounce, and it goes into the end zone for the touchback. There was no flag, although someone jostled Roby a little bit. The contact was incidental. No flag. 42-yard kick and the touchback. New Year's Day, NBC is the place to be. We'll start at 1 Eastern time. The IBM OS2 Fiesta Bowl. Miami against Arizona. Then it's Notre Dame, ranked number 4, against number 7 Texas A&M in the Mobile Cotton Bowl. And finally, number 1 Nebraska against number 2 Florida State for the national championship in the Federal Express Orange Bowl. Beginning at 1 Eastern time, a triple header on Bowl Day, New Year's Day. Just over a minute to play in the third quarter. Esiason trying to build somehow on a 3-0 lead. Johnny Johnson finally with a reception, his first of the day. Bruce Coslett was talking about Johnson yesterday, saying he catches the ball like a tight end, not like a running back. Explain what he meant.
Well, he catches the ball with his hands, and he looks the ball into his hands. I mean, a lot of receivers and even backs who were good receivers, they cradle the ball a lot. They catch it with their body, catch it with their arms. This guy is a hand catcher. He catches the ball with his hands, and then he knows what to do with it after he catches it. As a matter of fact, he probably would make a pretty good tight end the way they use tight ends today. You just throw the football to him.
He also catches the ball in stride instead of stopping and bracing himself and losing momentum like a lot of backs do.
Exactly. Here's the draw play again.
And it's Johnny Johnson carrying head on into Kurt Gouveia. Tim Johnson also had his arms wrapped around him. That's going to be the last play of the quarter. When they start the fourth, the Jets will face 3rd and 4 from their 26. They've led 3-0 since the first. That's what it is now. First time they had it, the Jets got into field goal range. Terry Blanchard cashed it in for them. That's all the scoring in the game. Now they face 3rd and 3 from their 27 as we start the fourth quarter, and they'll have to punt it away.
Well, they had 54 plays in 3 quarters. 54 plays, which is really a lot of plays, because average in a game you're going to have somewhere around 64 to 70 plays. You keep going at that rate, they would beat that average by quite a bit. But they've only got 3 points. They got time of possession. Everything looks right, except they got a great chance to lose this football game. And the way they've been doing in the kicking game right now, this here would scare me more than anybody else right now. They haven't done anything right in the kicking game today.
A 17-yard average. And look at that wobbly snap from center.
Oh,
Aguiar gets it away. Mitchell backtracking to the 24 and down immediately.
they made a play when they had to make a play.
And here comes Mark Rippon. So they gave Gannon 3 quarters. They didn't put anything on the board.
Well, it wasn't a quick hook, but it was a hook, Bob, and it came after 3 quarters.
This is the 205th consecutive sellout in terms of tickets sold, but there are about 8,500 no-shows here today. Look at the decline from the Super Bowl year of 1991. He was the Super Bowl MVP in the victory over Buffalo. 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. This year, 4 TDs, and 7 have been picked off. He'll hand it to Mitchell. Mitchell gets away from the first tackler, and then 3 Jets hit him.
Tell you what, a great job of penetration by Jeff Lageman. He forced the play to bounce way outside, which gave him some support there, and other people came up and made the play. But without Lageman's effort, the play would have gained yardage. Watch what happens. Lageman just comes across very hard, and as a result, he strings the play out. Then you get Kyle Clifton comes out and makes the play.
Gannon was 8 for 15 while he was in there for 62 yards. He started 6 for 6, so he completed just 2 of his last 9 throws.
I don't know what that was.
Movement all along the line, and flags go flying.
Bob, is it my imagination, or is it getting colder?
It is getting colder, which was the
False
forecast.
start. Offense, number 67, simulating the start of a snap. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Ray Brown, the left guard, is the guilty party. The forecast called for temperatures to drop into the 20s by early this evening. It was 38 at game time.
I tell you, Richie Pettibone's got to be going crazy. I don't think I've ever seen the Redskins play this way on offense.
Second down, 16. Rippon's first throw, if he can get it away, which he can.
Man-to-man pressure. They got up and bumped and run him. You know, after I think the first 3 passes went to Monk. I don't think he's caught a pass since. I don't even know if they've thrown him a pass since.
Now, the first drive, he was all over the place, and we haven't seen him since. That's the 3rd Jet sack today, recorded by their sack leader, Jeff Lageman.
That's just good defense, though, really. And the thing the Jets have made an adjustment with the defense on 3rd down. They've got away from that laying off zone defense. They're up into a man-to-man press, and they're causing things to happen by doing that. And they're going to play man-to-man against this guy. You can believe that because he's not as mobile, and he's not going to beat him with the run. I don't know what that was. I think it was a screen, and they played man-to-man on it. Therefore, you have no screen.
At least on his first try, Rippon can't change the results Gannon was getting.
The results cannot be changed by one man. I mean, either it's a philosophical thing or it isn't. I know after talking to Mark Rippon last night, Bob, I think you and I came away with the same impression, that people were not on the same page with what they're doing offensively in Washington right now. And that was my impression. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody could correct me if I am wrong.
Roby again from near the goal line. Clifford Hicks back deep. Fair catch called for at the 42-yard line of the Jets. So 13 minutes and 21 seconds to play in the game. The film is not being sent to Canton. Well, these fans have gotten a snoutful of uninspired football today. The Jets haven't scored since the second period of the game 3 weeks ago against Cincinnati. Scored a touchdown, that is.
Well, I think one of those Hogettes were one of my old college sweethearts.
There are certain lines that merit no rejoinder. So
You look vaguely familiar,
ahead.
I'll tell you. I'm not sure. I think the one in the middle. She's a doll.
Yes, 2nd and 6 from the 46. .12:45 to play in the game. Jets have led 3-0 since the first quarter.
The Jets are playing like they're afraid to win. I really mean that. This guy is...
Johnny Johnson's got the first down. He has well over 100 yards for the day.
They got to get something out of this drive, Bob, preferably a touchdown, but they got to get some points on the board. I mean, to have as many plays and as much time of possession and end up with 3 points, this is not a very great, a statement of how good their offense is.
23 carries for 122 yards, though, for Johnny Johnson, a terrific all-around athlete. Played basketball at San Jose State. Once had a 23-point game against Nevada, Las Vegas.
That's pretty big. Did I ever tell you about my 17-point out against University of Kentucky way back when?
Against Adolph Rupp's Kentucky Wildcats?
17 points. It's in the record book.
Johnson carried again. Remember, he missed last week's game because of the bruised ribs, so he's come back with authority today.
Well, for Bruce Coslet to run the offense he wants to, they really have to have a good running game. I'm a little surprised they haven't done a little bit more with play action than they have today. Most of what they've done in the passing game has been of a drop-back mode, and I think you saw the bootleg earlier, but you haven't seen a whole lot of play action.
And there's no better play-action passer in the game than Boomer Esiason. He's a genius at selling that and getting defenses to bite.
Hides the ball as well as anybody.
But they keep it on the ground, and Baxter runs smack into the arms of Tim Johnson.
Again, you had another blitz. I mean, if you're going to keep running it, that's the only thing. You got to mix it up some. You got to mix it up some. Here comes Gavea again on the blitz. Johnson does an outstanding job. And what they're doing, they're stunning. They're stunning. They're not staying in one place. The Redskins believe in penetrating the line of scrimmage. They're not going to two-gap anybody. And by two-gap, I mean they're not going to take the blocker on directly. They're going to take an angle or side or hit a gap.
3rd and 10 from the Redskins 45. Esiason has lots of time, but he doesn't have his receiver. Looking for Rob Moore in between 2 defenders, and disgusted with himself as he delivered it high.
I think he threw the ball where he thought he had to throw it there. If he would have thrown that ball to the inside, I believe it would have been picked off. One of the Redskin defenders was trying to cut across Moore right there and get an angle on the ball.
Well, Aguiar's average went up after his 4th punt from 17 to 25.5.
Well, that'll give him a headache looking at his average tomorrow, believe me, because he's not going to be happy about this. But he needs a good punt here to pin the Redskins back in the hole.
Mitchell waiting at the 10. High kick. And Mitchell calls for the fair catch right at the 10-yard line. 35-yard punt, no return, 10-16 left. At the Metrodome. And the MVP of the Super Bowl is Mark Rippon. He throws for 292 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Redskins stormed to a 37-24 victory over the Buffalo Bills.
I'll tell you what, it's a mere imitation of that football team, because this football team right now, and a lot of it has to do with injury, and we know that, Bob, but they don't look like they're in sync offensively. They don't look like they have a game plan of what they're trying to do. That's all I'm saying.
Kyle Clifton eyeing Rippon as Rippon hands to Brooks. And Reggie Brooks gets 2, maybe 3. There's so many ways to express this decline. Remember, that was just January of '92, less than 2 years ago. In that season, the '91 season, culminating with the January of '92 Super Bowl, Super Bowl 26, the Redskins averaged 30.3 points a game. One of the greatest outputs in recent NFL history. They dropped to just under 19 points a game last year, and this year, prior to today, they were averaging 15.6. So they're scoring about half as many points per game as they did 2 seasons ago. Reggie Brooks turned the corner and hemmed in at about the 37-yard line after a gain of 24.
I think you got a guy like Brooks, and even though they haven't run the ball effectively, you give it to him enough. He's been your meal ticket for what offense you've had this year. He's really been it, and it's nope. You might as well give it to him a little bit more.
He'd been held completely in check until that carry.
What did he tell us? He ran a 10-3 100 meters and a 21-4 200 meters. This guy can fly.
They give it to him again, and he slammed down after a gain of 2. He also told us that he lost only 10 games combined in 4 years of high school and 4 years at Notre Dame. If they don't come from behind today, this is the 10th loss of his rookie season in the NFL.
He said he had never played on a losing team, and I think if you look at the number of games that he lost over that period of time, you'd have to agree with that. But he's finding out reality in a hurry.
Play fake to him, and then Rippon unloads, incomplete. Frank Wycheck, the rookie out of Maryland.
Got a penalty on the play. It may be a holding call against the Redskins, which would just add to their frustrations.
Rippon trying to hit Wycheck. Let's see what the call will be. The Redskins might have had an ineligible receiver downfield.
I assume they would refuse the penalty, would make it 3rd and about 7 or 8. And I think the 3rd down efficiency for the Redskins today has been just about nil. So I don't think there's any...
Ineligible. Number 76 downfield. Penalty is declined. 3rd down.
The right tackle, Ed Simmons, was someplace he should not have been.
Well, he thought he had moved him to tight end, Bob, and he wanted to go out for a pass.
So as you guessed, they decline it. 3rd and 8. 8:33 to play in the game. 3-0 New York. Rippon stepping back up into the pocket, zinging one over the middle. It's caught and then dropped. The ruling is incomplete. Ricky Sanders had it. A couple of Jets converged on him, and the ball squirted free. Eric Thomas and Lonnie Young were there on the coverage.
It's a great example of not one man being the problem. Everybody's the problem. This ball's a completion. His feet come down. It's knocked out. It was a fumble. The Redskins recovered. It could have been a first down. They called it incomplete. But Rippon put the ball right on the money. You can't blame him.
Roby to punt once more. Low end over end kick, and they let it roll. Down to the 14.
The best offensive weapon the Redskins have is Reggie Roby.
Punt good for 47. Obviously no return. She appears to be very happy, although about what I am not sure. The Redskins trail 3-0. The Jets get the ball back at their 14-yard line. Just over 8 minutes to play in the game. And Esiason hands to Johnny Johnson.
The Redskins are trying to force him to throw the ball. Again, they came with a blitz, came with 8 up again on the line of scrimmage. It looked to me like Boomer audibled, but I couldn't tell for sure. He looked like he got out of what he was in and went to a safe run on the play, but he did have a man-to-man blitz situation. There's no question about that. Looks like he's changing the play here, definitely. Now, when you change the play, sometimes the defense will also audible and come out of the blitz, but there they stayed with it. This is the old Bear defense.
Just beat the play clock and got it to Johnson across the 20-yard line. The Jets have had the ball more than twice as long as the Redskins have. They have more than twice as many total yards, and yet they lead 3-0. Same score as their first possession of the game.
Let me show you what they do here.
The field goal then.
Bob, they move people in. You got the same idea as the old Buddy Ryan defense, the old Bear defense. You got 3 inside. You got 8 men up near the line of scrimmage, and watch what happens. It's just a pressure defense. Everybody's pressuring the football. Basically, the slant play is probably as sound a play as you can run against the defense.
Jets need about 2. Less than 7 minutes now remaining in the game. Esiason takes it around the left side himself for the first down and then slides down before he can be hit. But there's a flag on the play.
Got a holding call, I think.
Yep.
Number 86, 10-yard penalty. Repeat the down, 3rd down.
Right here's the guy that makes the holding call right here. Again, Johnny, you're not allowed to do that. You've got to play defense to be able to tackle that well.
It's Johnny Mitchell, the tight end. So now it'll be 3rd and 12.
They got to bring back those blocking tight ends, Bob. I don't see too many of them around the league.
Down goes Esiason. Let's see if any penalty flags go down. Nope. There was some movement along the line, but no flags.
The Jets have a gun, and they're shooting right at their own foot.
Well, considering the way Aguiar has punted and the difficulties they've had with snaps and whatnot, and considering where they are right now, and considering the fact that the clock is now ticking inside 6 minutes, this is going to be about the best chance the Redskins are going to have for the rest of the day in all likelihood.
Made contact.
This may be the most exciting play of the game.
Still 3rd down.
So finally they did throw a flag on the play. There was an encroachment call. It seemingly took forever before they sorted that out. It was fairly obvious that there had been motion along the line.
I'm glad they got the flag down today and didn't wait till tomorrow to get it down. That would have been embarrassing also. Yep. New life break for the Jets. Let's see what happens. I'm on pins and needles, Bob.
They may be talking about the clock here because time wound off.
Please reset the game clock to read 6:05.
Now, this may take a day or two to get this done. Please reset the game
clock to read. Thank you.
No.
Very quick. I apologize.
Very snappy. But they had let it run after what finally became a penalty call. And the clock should have stopped.
I did forget. This timekeeper here in D.C. is in the Timekeeper Hall of Fame, so I knew he should get it quicker. That is. Yes, it's Burns, Michigan.
Appropriate place for the Timekeeper Hall of Fame. So it's 3rd and 7. The loudest we've heard the crowd in RFK today. Esiason escapes, throws on the run, throws deep, got a man wide open, but he overthrows Burkett.
Boomer could have ran for a first down there, but he did the right thing. He had a receiver wide open, tried to get him the ball. Just the fact that he was moving forward, he had too much on it. Watch all the daylight. Watch all the daylight. Watch all the daylight. Could have ran for it, but he's not a runner. He's a passer. He did what he's supposed to do. Just overthrew Burkett. This could be... Go ahead, Bob.
He was behind Darrell Green, obviously. Go ahead, Mike.
This could be the most exciting play of the game right here, I'm telling you. And it is.
Aguiar gets it away. Mitchell lets it drop.
I tell you, that's
takes a jet bounce and roll. 46-yard punt by Aguiar at just the right time.
Working to be the best they can be. Teammates sponsored by the U.S. Army. Cleveland's Jerry Ball and Michael Dean Perry are nicknamed Rush and Crush. Two all-pro tackles who make the middle of the dog defense a dangerous place to run. The trade that brought the two together for the first time has made the Cleveland Browns defense the best it can be.
After he defeated Leroy Keys, the runner-up from Purdue back in the late 60s by the largest margin ever. Reggie Brooks carries on first down here for the Redskins and just gets back to the line of scrimmage. And you could guess who will finish second behind Charlie Ward. Maybe a guy like Heath Schuler from Tennessee or David Palmer from Alabama. So it becomes official. Less than an hour from now, actually the telecast begins at 3:30 Eastern time, and before 4 Eastern time we'll know officially the winner of the Heisman Trophy. Here's the past winner, Desmond Howard, coming into the lineup for the Redskins.
He's been pretty quiet. I mean, we talked to Richie Pettibone about him last night. He wasn't, he thought maybe he had lost a little bit of the speed that he had come out of Michigan with.
Ricky Sanders makes the catch on the throw from Rippon. They needed 9, and that's just about what they got. And it is a first down. The Redskins have not been shut out in a regular season game in 13 years, not since November of '80 when Philly beat them 24-0. Last time they were shut out, period, January 11th of '87, the NFC Championship game at the windy Meadowlands. Almost impossible conditions for Jay Schrader to throw in, and the Giants beat them 17-0, went on to win the Super Bowl.
The Jets have gone to a nickel package. They got 5 defensive backs in the game now. And I think they're in there for the simple reason they realize that the Redskins are not going to run the ball anymore. With 4:19 on the clock, they're going to start throwing it.
That first down a moment ago for the Redskins was only their 7th of the game. And while they haven't been shut out this year, they have had 7 games this year where they scored 10 points or fewer. And they lost all 7 of the games.
Well, usually if you score 10 points or less, unless you got one of the great defenses in football, you're going to get beat most of the time.
Hard to dispute that logic.
And I'm a very logical guy.
.4:19 to play in the game. 3-0 New York. Rippon, complete to Sanders. And Ricky Sanders is just shy of the 45 of the Jets.
Just a simple square out pattern by the inside receiver, which is who Sanders is. Gets good protection. Rippon wanted to go down the field, but he got the ball to the short guy. They played a double zone. They rolled up on the corners, and that's exactly what happened. So you got to take what they give you. You got 3rd and 4.
Redskins might not have the ball again if they have to give it up here. A wobbly pass off Sanders' hands and incomplete. Now what do you do? They've got 4th and 3, a long 3.
I don't think there's any
choice. They might not get it back.
I think you got to go for it. And the way the Jets are playing offense, that doesn't mean you won't get it back. They may get it back anyways if they don't make it, but you got to go for it. I mean, you've got nothing to lose. You're 3 and 9. You either try to make the first down or you don't. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. So you go to 3 and 10.
On the other hand, if the Jets should find a way to lose this game, they will go home virtually out of it in terms of the playoffs, considering what remains on their schedule. Batted up in the air, and that is it in terms of this possession for the Redskins.
Bob, I'd be very surprised to see the Jets put the ball in the air, but then again, I've been very surprised by this whole football game.
Pete Carroll thrilled over the play turned in by Jeff Lageman.
As well it should be. I mean, the Jets defense, I guess they've played very well. I can't tell. I don't know if they're playing well or the Redskins are that bad on offense, but it seems a combination of both. The Jets are playing good defense, and they've done it for the last 7 games, giving up an average of only 9 points a game. And again, we said some of it was weather, some of it was the competition, but still they've done it. So you got to give them credit where credit's due.
3:31 on the clock. Just looking to run some time off of it. They hand it to Brad Baxter, who's stopped by Monty Coleman.
Washington, their first timeout. This is a 40-second timeout.
Now remember, the last 4 opponents for the Jets were Cincinnati, at that point winless, New England, weak offense and in a near monsoon in Foxborough, the Colts, who had been shut out at home the previous Monday night by the Chargers and didn't score a touchdown but won 9-6, and now the Redskins, whose offensive troubles we've documented all day long. So the Jet defense has played very, very well, but they have not exactly been facing Bill Walsh's 49ers.
They have not met anybody, you're right, but I got to give them credit. They've done what they had to do against the people they played, and they didn't make the schedule. The NFL made the schedule.
Or for that matter, George Seifert's 49ers, the way they've been clicking offensively of late. Johnny Johnson got the first down, which calls into question the Redskins taking the timeout when they did, considering the fact that the Jets had gotten 6 yards on first down, and you still have the 2-minute warning remaining. They might have wanted to wait until the next series to see if they could get a stop for short yardage on first down before using it. Tomorrow, it's a doubleheader on NBC. Begins at 12:30 Eastern Time. Jim Lampley and company with NFL Live. Most of you will see Buffalo and Philadelphia, or depending upon where you live, one of the other 3 regional games. And then the second half of the doubleheader, great quarterback matchup, Montana versus Elway, Kansas City and Denver. The Chiefs on the verge of clinching in the AFC West. Some will see Seattle and the Raiders.
Well, you're right, Bob. 2 of the best quarterbacks in football go at it tomorrow when the Chiefs go to Denver, but also 2 of the best quarterbacks probably ever to play in the National Football League, John Elway and Joe Montana. It's going to be a big game. I tell you, it's a must game for Denver up there, and Denver plays awfully well in Mile High Stadium. I'll get it out, figure it out.
Huge day for Johnny Johnson. Redskins have used up 2 of their 3 timeouts. Brad Baxter. And now they use their last one. So they're hopeful of stopping them on this series of downs, using the 2-minute warning and getting the ball back with a minute and change remaining.
And that was Richie Pettibone's whole thinking. That's why he didn't want to wait till it ran down where they had no chance at all. They figure if they can stop them here, make them go on 3rd down, they don't make the first down, they got a chance to get it back. Stop it at the 2-minute period, and then they have no timeouts left. At least they got a chance to move the ball. And if the Jets don't put any points on the board, then all it'll take is a field goal to tie them, which will make this game more and more exciting as we go into overtime.
I've seen enough. While we have a moment here, why don't we put up Mike's suggestions on how to improve the league? Joe Gibbs had his 10 suggestions for ways to make the league more exciting.
But Joe didn't make anybody mad with his. I could make a lot of people mad.
Joe's were
mine.
Mostly rules changes.
Yeah.
He favored the 2-point conversion.
Mine are to make the game better. The game is the most important thing, not profit, not the owner. The game is the most important thing, and it always has been, and it always will be. Another first down.
And that could just about be the death knell for Washington here. Brad Edwards stopped Johnny Johnson, but too late. Let's put that list back up there. Let folks mull this over for a while. Put the game first, profit second. Quit running the game with a lawyer's mentality. Is that directed at any?
Not anybody, but just anybody knows what it is. Create some lost loyalty between the management and the players, which has been lost. And free agency will never help that come back. And quit worrying about how many points you scored and how long the games are. Just get good quality football out there.
Well, the players deserve free agency, though, didn't they?
Oh, I'm not saying they didn't. I'm not saying they didn't. I said, but with it, there'll never be loyalty, and there'll never be a dynasty either, because the players will move around so much. It'll be like baseball. You will need a scorecard every week to figure out who has who.
The 2-minute warning is going to stop the clock. Jack Kent Cooke will watch his team fall to 3-10. If you weren't with us the first time the Jets had the ball, you missed a 14-play drive which stalled and a Carrie Blanchard field goal. All the rest has been meaningless. 2 minutes to play. The Jets on a 45-yard field goal by Carrie Blanchard in the first quarter, on their way to their 8th victory of the year.
Well, I guess you would have to call this, Bob, winning ugly, but I think the Jets would take a victory any way they can get it after last week. But this is going to go in now 8 quarters that they haven't scored a touchdown unless they score in the last 2 minutes. And well, more than that.
More than that.
Yeah, they didn't score against the
14 quarters.
14 quarters, which is that's a pretty bad indictment against your offense. And it's not a bad offense. I mean, they've garnered all the time of possession. They rushed the ball well. Boomer's played very well through that streak, but they just haven't been able to get any points.
Who's the best team in the league right now?
In my opinion, the 49ers. But then again, you know, people don't ask me for my opinion very much anymore. I think they're an outstanding team. I think the Bears are playing great defense. I think there are a lot of good teams. I don't think there's one great team there. And I think if there's anybody close to it, it is the San Francisco 49ers right now.
Johnny Johnson just trying to protect that ball with both arms wrapped around it on the second down carry. Is there a team in the AFC that could possibly break the NFC's dominance in the Super Bowl? The NFC has not lost a Super Bowl since the Redskins were beaten in January of '84 by the Raiders.
If the Miami Dolphins had Dan Marino, I would say that they really have an outstanding chance. And I'm sure they still have an outstanding chance. I think they got a good football team. Don does a great job with it. The team I think that does have the best chance are the Kansas City Chiefs, if they can keep it on track, because I think the addition of Marcus Allen and Joe Montana have made him a great football team.
Third down, they need one, and they're stopped. Monty Coleman shot in there and smashed into Johnny Johnson. So now, if you're Coslett,
you run the ball
try
again.
a field goal or
No.
just run the ball to take more time off the clock?
You run the ball again. That's all you do is you line up and you run the ball. That will give the Redskins time for one play probably, maybe two. But the way they're playing offense, I wouldn't worry if you gave them 20 plays.
Redskins have no timeouts remaining. What about the way Houston's playing? 7 straight wins, and your old buddy, Buddy Ryan, has it going for their defense.
And I didn't mean to overlook them. I'm saying that's a good football team also. And I think certainly I feel right now, barring something strange happening, they're going to come out and win the Central Division. So they're definitely going to be in a position where they're going to have somebody playing down in Houston against them.
It is now time for the Hager wrinkle-free cotton super play of the game, and believe me, this required considerable deliberation, but this, my friends, was the most exciting and memorable moment. Duffy snaps it. Aguiar, not aware that it's coming, plunk right off his helmet, and there goes a scoring chance for the Jets.
I tell you what, to give the kid credit, it was a lousy play, but I tell you, he had great accuracy. He stuck it right in the ear hole.
Exactly 30 seconds remaining.
I'm sorry this one's over, Bob.
You have nothing at all planned this evening? Not even a flight out of town?
I have a flight out of town, believe me.
If you were Marty Schottenheimer, and if the Jets, rather the Chiefs, wrap up the AFC West, would you sit Montana for the rest of the year?
I don't think I'd sit him for the rest of the year. I don't believe that, but I think I would certainly work on certain aspects of my offense that didn't include high risk with him. I believe that. I think you still have to play. I don't think you can take a guy out totally and let him sit on the bench, because I think you get rusty to a degree. But Montana's probably one guy who would never get rusty.
But he's so injury prone at this point. You have to think if they win the division, you're going to have a week off. You want to keep him as healthy as you can and nurture him to the point where he can do something for you in the playoffs.
Well, I'm sure Marty will make that decision. He'll make a better decision than I would probably make.
Even though this was not the best played game any of you folks have ever seen, there's no overstating the great job done by Johnny Johnson. 32 carries for 155 yards. They decided to keep the ball on 4th down with 30 seconds to go, and he got them the 1st down, and the clock ran out after that final carry. And
it runs contrary to what Boomer said yesterday in the meeting. We really thought, after talking to him, that they were going to come out and throw the ball a lot more on 1st down. And I'm sure maybe the weather had something to do with it, because the wind is blowing. It's hard to tell how much it affects the ball down there. And the way these two offenses threw the ball today, I would assume something affected it.
The Heisman Trophy telecast is about 10 minutes or so away from New York. And as we wrap up this game, we'll talk with Joe Gibbs, who is in our studio in New York. So we'll come back to RFK and fill a little time for you folks in just a moment. Jets win it 3-0. Back to the job done by the defense and the great day had by Johnny Johnson. What happened today isn't going to get it done against Dallas, Buffalo, or Houston. You'll need to kick it up a notch.
Thanks, Bob. I didn't realize you were a scout for the NFL. But, no, you're right. I mean, our defense, again, has really kept us in this game. We've had problems the last 3 weeks, for whatever reason, for getting into the end zone. And there's no question that we have to go back and we have to execute, especially when we're inside the 10-yard line, which is what we haven't been doing the last 3 weeks.
Well, I thought you threw a couple good balls. You should have been on the scoreboard. You can't help it if they can't catch it, Boomer. Well, and that's been part of your problem. You've had that problem for 2 weeks. You came away with 1 win. You came away with 1 loss. The receivers have got to catch the ball when they get in that situation.
Well, you know, I appreciate that.
I know you can't say it, but I can.
I know, but the bottom line is, too, there were a couple throws that I could have made that I didn't make this afternoon. And, you know, we just have to get ourselves in gear again offensively. It was nice to have Johnny Johnson back. You could see how big of a part of the offense he really is for us. Thought Rob Moore made some nice catches today. Our tight end position has been banged up all, the last 3 or 4 weeks. We got to be a little bit more consistent at that position.
Boomer, it looked like you got yourself jackknifed a little bit when a couple of Redskins hit you in the first half. How badly were you hurt?
Well, it was a combination of getting the wind knocked out of me, and I felt like I took a knee right in the kidney in the back. And fortunately enough for me, I don't really feel like it was serious, but I needed to take a few minutes to catch my breath and collect my thoughts. But, I feel good right now.
We can look back on it and laugh a little bit. Speaking of the missed field goal right at the end of the first half, we could only guess what happened. We realized you weren't on the field, but what did happen when the snap hit Aguiar in the head?
Well, it's not funny, and it's something that we have to correct. There's no question about that. On that particular play, that was not Louis Aguiar's fault. Our center thought that Louis had given him the hand to snap the ball, and our center misread it, and Louis wasn't even looking for the ball. But there's no question that we have to shore up a little bit better our special teams. We have to be more consistent in that phase of the game. It's something right now that I'm sure concerns all of us.
Well, you're being polite, because really the special teams today could have cost you the football game. It's probably as bad as I've seen one half of special teams played in a long time, and I'm just being honest. I mean, it's you made some bad decisions on catching the ball. Then you had a couple punts that were darn near blocked. One was blocked. You got to work on that a little more.
Well, there's no question, Mike, that the special teams are a very important ingredient of a football team. And right now, like we are in offense, we're just very inconsistent for whatever reason in this phase of the game. For us on offense, it happens to be the red zone right now. It's something that if we think that we're going to get to the playoffs and we think we're good enough to get to the playoffs, there's no question that we can't slop around in all phases of the game. We have to be consistent. We have to be better.
Boomer, it's a win nonetheless. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, guys. Thanks.
Take care, Boom.
Okay.
Okay, let's check in with Joe Gibbs, who's in the studio in New York, all by his lonesome, because Lampley and the Juice have headed for the Downtown Athletic Club. They'll bring you folks the Heisman Trophy presentation in just a bit. Need to put you on the spot here, Joe. You watched your old team really sputter offensively. What's your analysis?
Effort, best effort ever for a Jet defense. I think that was the name of the game. With
the people at home could hear Joe Gibbs, but Mike Ditka and I could not. If you were Joe Gibbs, what would you have said?
Well, I don't think Joe's going to be able to say what I would say. I would say that they've gone to a different type of offense, regardless of what we heard last night. It is not the Redskins offense. First of all, the Redskins offense under Joe it made a defense prepare tremendously for what they were trying to do. I think I saw one time out there early in the game when the Redskins went to 3 receivers that the Jets were confused on defense. Other than that, when you play against Joe Gibbs' offenses, you're always confused because he moves people around, he shifts people, he gives you 1 look, 2 looks, and then he goes to a 3rd look. Now, what that does is that gives your defense less time to react, less time to think about what they're doing. And exactly, that's what's happened, really. They're not doing that on offense, in other words, the Redskins.
Apparently, we've ironed out the audio problem, so I put the question to you again, Joe. Give us your thoughts on what you saw today from RFK.
Well, actually, I think the credit here has to go to the Jet defense. In the last 8 games, this is the best stretch ever for them, and I think that's the simplest way to put it. The Redskins have been playing pretty good on defense, and they played again that way today, but the Jets leaning on the defense and did a great job there. I'd say the other thing about Boomer, I'd be curious if y'all could have asked him, is he hurting a little bit? Because actually his longest throw today, yardage-wise, was 20 yards, but he threw that thing very short and they ran with it. I just don't think he's throwing the ball downfield. And I'd say the best observation of the day was Mike Dick spotting one of the Hogettes that I think he did date in high school at some point, right?
Joe, I want to tell you one thing. They said I'm a diplomat, and I don't say very much, but boy, you said very little right there.
But you know what? He is in a tougher position than you are, Mike, because your old club with Dave Wanstead is doing pretty well. And that is actually, in terms of public statements, a less awkward position to be in than where Joe finds himself because his team is 3-10.